Okay, so in example C, we want to sketch a quadratic surface of the hyperboloid that's formed by rotating the hyperbola 4x squared minus y squared equals 16 on a restricted domain of the x values between 2 and 4. Remember that we're including 2 and 4 here because of the square brackets. We're going to rotate that section around the y-axis. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to write this in magnification form so we can actually graph the hyperbola, and I'll do that at the bottom. So we're going to divide every term by 16 in order to get 1 on the right hand side. When I divide everything by 16, we're going to get x squared over 4, which I'll write as 2 squared. And then we're going to get minus y squared over 16, which I will call 4 squared. That's equal to 1. So our equation in magnification form is x squared over 2 squared minus y squared over 4 squared equal to 1. Okay, so we have a hyperbola that's centered at 0, 0. The last thing I want to do is figure out the slopes of the asymptotes, because we have to graph the asymptotes in order to get our curve. So remember that slope is change in y over change in x, or the number under y over the number under x. So our asymptotes are going to have slopes of positive and negative 2. Alright, since our hyperbola is centered at 0, 0, I'm just going to plot my axes. And then I'm going to draw in my asymptotes. Now our center is 0, 0, so from the center, we're going to draw a line that has a slope of positive 2. Asymptote, so I'm going to do it with a dotted line. And then we're also going to plot a line that has a slope of negative 2. Okay, so there's my asymptotes. Now, this hyperbola, the equation down here, has x as the positive term, or x squared as the positive term, which means that our parabola is going to open up left and right. It's going to look like an x. So from the center, we're going to move 2 spaces to the left and 2 spaces to the right in order to draw our vertices. So I'm going to have 2 vertices here, one at positive 2 and one at negative 2 on the x-axis. But remember that we are restricting this curve to the values of x between 2 and 4. So we're only actually going to be graphing the part of the hyperbola that is between 2 and 4 along the x-axis. So I'm going to sketch this curve over here, and I'm going to make sure to follow the asymptotes, but I'm going to stop my curve where x is equal to 4. And so I'm going to go the opposite direction following the asymptote, but again stopping the curve where the asymptote, or where the curve hits x is equal to 4. Okay, so that is actually the only piece of this hyperbola that we are going to be rotating. Now I'm going to highlight this. We are taking this curve and we're going to rotate it around the y-axis. So we're going to spin the y-axis, and we're going to see what happens when I take just this piece of the curve and rotate it around the y-axis. So imagine you're taking this curve and you're just going to turn it around the y-axis here. We're going to sketch the shape of that. So what happens is we end up with a shape that's going to look like this. Right, and so keep in mind it's hollow through the middle, and it's just that curved piece that goes around the y-axis.